無駄だ。思考を閉ざすことはできん。
What's good, my dudes? Welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the HGCE Infinite Justice Type 2. In case you missed it, check out my review on the MG Sinan Justein narrative version Verka. Should be in the top right corner right about now. Also, if I sound a little bit different today, it's because I'm a little bit sick when I'm recording this. With that out of the way, let's get on to the review. So, first thing to note, unlike the RG Force Impulse Spec 2, this is a completely new mold, and there are changes to the overall design of this version, but given that it's still the Infinite Justice, most of them are pretty minor for the most part. Quick disclaimer, I don't have the HGCE Infinite Justice from 2020, so I won't be making many comparisons of that, but I will mention it if it's relevant. Build-wise, this kit is fantastic. It's pretty quick and easy to put together, and it hardly uses any color correcting stickers apart from the cams, which you get two options for the top of the head, one with the white outline and the other without. You also get two attempts at this in case you screw up something, which is possible considering how small these stickers are. So everything else you see here, including the backpack, which we'll talk about later on, is completely color separated. You also get some really nice extra detail that's better than most HG kits in certain areas, like this gray part under the front skirts. The plastic here also doesn't leave any super visible nub marks, and most of them are hidden pretty cleverly, which is pretty relevant when you have these metallic injection silver parts that are included for the frame. Now, as you can see here from the front, there are no visible marks here at all, but as soon as you turn around to the hands, the vents here, there are here, but they're very tiny. I also had an issue with these hands being really loose out of the box for me, but I'm not sure if that's an issue of just my kit, but if it isn't, just make sure to tighten those up. Next, for a quick size comparison, here it is next to the HGCE Immortal Justice Gundam, Gelgoog Menace, and RG Force Impulse, so pretty much around the same size as an average HG kit. Now, as expected, this kit comes with a ton of different accessories. First, let's take a look at the backpack, the Volantes. It can of course split its wings for the usual quad wing design that you would normally see. It also looks vaguely familiar. I can't quite put my finger on where I've seen this before though. Anyway, this new piece of equipment is also considered a successor to the Utori featured in the MG Strike Rouge. While this color scheme here isn't exactly the most vibrant or flashy by any means, it makes it up some really nice surface detail. It has some beam cannons on the side that can be adjusted mainly for when it attaches to the back of the Justice, and adjustable wings as well. You also get a hole at the bottom here so it can be displayed separate from the rest of the kit. To get the pack onto the Justice, simply fold down the front, flip down the cannons, fold up these thrusters, and fold down the wings. Then connect these two pegs here on the back of the Justice, and here it is attached to the Infinite Justice. This is of course the resting mode, I guess, when the pack itself isn't active, so this is mostly just for normal standing poses. One thing to note, and this applies to the kit when the Volantes is active as well, is that it's a bit back heavy when the pack is on, so it may be a little bit awkward when it's in a standing pose. Now, to activate it, simply split the wings and get these beam effect parts into them, and there you go. I strongly recommend getting an action base for this kit, especially if you're using the Volantes in this form, since most of the time it's gonna be flying anyway. I'm using action base 7 here, and it's nice and solid, plus you get 2 per pack. Another thing that's important to note is that if you get the Injustice weapons kit from Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise, you get these 2 adapters which allow you to put the Volantes onto other kits with the universal backpack connection, and the other that allows you to put the backpack with the normal pegs onto the Infinite Justice. Next, you get the beam rifle, which is pretty standard for HG kits. It has a really nice amount of detail, with this pink part of course being 2 different stickers, and the scope here can also move around as well. To get it in hand, it's the usual sandwich system where you remove the armor and place the grip in the hand and then put it back on. You can also mount it onto the back skirt with this peg that comes out the side of the gun. Next, we have the shield, which is really nicely detailed on both the front and the back. You can also attach them to the arm with this adapter that allows you to put it on the side or the back of the forearm, and it's got also a ton of different features. At the bottom of the shield, we have a hole here which allows you to stick a beam effect inside, and if you take off this pink part, you can hold the beam boomerang separate from the shield. You also get a grappling hook gimmick, which you can get by removing this part here, taking out the hook, and inserting the included wire into the hole and the other end into the grappling hook. The hook itself isn't very heavy, so it's really easy to pose, unlike some other certain kit. You can also attach this beam shield effect, which has this iridescent clear blue injection plastic, which gives it this really nice look, which you get by taking off this piece again, sticking in the effect part, and reattaching it. You also get a ton of beam effects included, which is quite a bit. First, you get these standard beam sabers, which are mounted onto the side skirts. You get them by removing this armor piece, which attaches onto the side skirts secure enough so that it won't fall off very easily, but also loose enough so that you will be able to remove it to get the beam sabers if you really want to. Then you simply get them in hand by sliding them through the hole. They can be connected for a double-ended beam saber. It's really nice and easy to get it in hand, but the only real issue here is that the grip on the beam saber isn't that tight, so it does have the tendency to slide around while in hand. Next, you get the beam leg cutters, which you can put in by getting these double peg onto the hole on top and the single peg onto the one on the bottom. Now, unfortunately, you can't really move the feet around while these are attached, but they are a really nicely detailed gimmick, which is also the same effect included in the original HG Infinite Justice. Lastly, you get the beam horn, and you simply stick it on top of the head. You can also move this horn down based on the position that you would like it in. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about the most important accessory of all, the elusive open hand. You only get one left hand, so sorry about that. Now, the articulation for this kit is great, like the rest of the Seed Freedom lineup, thanks to the Seed action system, but this kit seems to have a little bit more articulation in comparison due to being more focused on close combat. Double jointed neck, head can look up this high, head can twist around all the way, the horn can move down, the arms can swing out front, shoulder pad can be lifted up this high, arms can go up this high, swivel in the bicep, double jointed elbows, ball joint in the wrist, left and right movement in the torso, ab crunch forward and backward, rotation at the waist, front skirts are on a ball joint and are individually separated by default, and the side skirts as well, but they can't move up very far. But there's also a bit of side to side movement, and there's a little swivel here that allows it to swing out of the way for the legs. Back skirt here doesn't move at all. These little joints here below the waist, I don't know what they're called, but they allow the leg to split out wider. Nice split in the legs, and legs go up this high forward and backward, just not quite as high. Swivel in the thigh, double jointed knee bend, ball joint in the foot, little swivel here in the ankle, and the ball joint on the ankle guard, and the foot being able to bend down. So overall, while these changes aren't very major in comparison to the rest of the Seed Freedom line, these are enough to make the Infinite Justice stand out compared to the other kits, especially the side skirt gimmick where it kind of swings back for the legs to move out. When comparing this kit to the original, it keeps the same Infinite Justice look from the previous iteration, but with overall more detail on the armor, slightly thinner proportions, and the head also replaces the Nintendo Wii on top of its head with the Washington Monument. The legs in particular look a little bit more round when compared to the original. Apart from that, most of the changes of this kit from the Infinite Justice to the Type 2 are pretty minor in comparison. The kit itself is also noticeably smaller than the original, which you can see due to the differences in the leg length. Now, that's probably given due to the Seed Freedom Zagok also coming out, and it's likely that this kit can fit inside of it. For me personally, I think that this slimmed down design is a better representation of the Infinite Justice in particular in battle, where it needs to do all that close combat with all the beam weaponry flying around, and it requires a lot more agility, and the blockier design isn't like the best way to present that. For the most part, I would say they're pretty similar in terms of design, with the main difference between the pack and the prices. The Volantis itself is a pretty huge difference in design when compared to the Fatum, mainly due to the quad wing beam cutter design, which allows for even more beam weaponry, because why the hell not? Also, the color is completely different as well. The HG's Infinite Justice is also retailing at 2,200 yen, while the Type 2 retails at 3,080 yen. I think it's safe to say that both the HGCE Infinite Justice and the Type 2 are very similar, with the exception of the backpack. For the most part, this new version doesn't really do anything to make it really stand out when compared to the original side by side. Given that there's a huge gap in their prices, is there anything that really makes this kit worth buying more than the original? Yes, and that would be the Volantis. While it's not as flashy in terms of color as the Fatum, it makes it up with its unique quad wing design and the fact that it can be displayed on its own without looking really awkward. Whether this is worth the extra 800 yen is up to you. If you don't have any version of the Justice, or like having kits that can pose dynamically, or really like Seed Freedom kits, or really want the backpack, this is right up your alley. If you already own the HGCE Infinite Justice and you're expecting something drastically different, this might be a skip for you. Alternatively, you can buy both and make your own Frankenstein Infinite Justice if you really want to. Also important to note, at the time of me releasing this video, I have no idea whether the new HGCE Zagok will include the Infinite Justice or not. If it does, the final decision that does come a little bit more complicated depending on what it includes. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoyed this, please consider giving a like and commenting and subscribing. It really helps with the channel's performance and the algorithm. Click on this video if YouTube thinks you might like, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.